Hello everybody, I'm Brenzo, and today it's happening. I'm reviewing subscriber ships. In fact, I'm reviewing so many subscriber ships that I'm reviewing all of your subscriber ships. But not in this video. If your ship is not in this video, which there's only one ship in this video, so it's probably not, go to the description, click the link below, go to my Twitch. Tonight, Saturday, probably sometime in the evening. I'll have it in the description once I have, the time finalized. But I'm going hard. I am evaluating everything you sent me. Every single ship I'm looking at, I'm evaluating, and I'm doing. It's going to be long. It's going to be insane. I'm going to look at so many ships, I'm going to get tired of looking at this damn game. But I want you to come there, and I want you to hang out, and I want you to help me roast your ships. Because I'm not going to be nice. It's going to be an extravaganza. So be there. Let's get on to the review. So, you've been waiting for weeks, wondering if it would be you, who it could possibly be, what I would do. And well, here it is. The Nemean Lion, I think is how you pronounce it. By Joey. Frequent flyer of all my stuff, but I'm not biased. I literally only picked this because I think it's one of the prettiest ships I was given. This thing checks every bill stylistically that I typically do. And for that, I am biased. And also, it's not that great. It's really not that great, Joey. I'm sorry. I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. You got work to do, buddy. And I'm here to tell you what it is. But I simply saw this thing, and it was instant that I knew that I was in adoration of this thing. It's so pretty, in my opinion. It's got the, sort of futuristic, sort of not styling that I love. Anyway, enough about that. We're going to go over this thing. We're going to do a deep dive. I'm going to look at almost every single thing that I can think that is either wrong or pretty damn good about this ship. I'm going to find out what needs to be changed, what he could instantly do to make this thing 10 times better, what kind of things he needs to work on over time, etc. I want to have him make this thing into a ship that is made to rival anything. Because this thing costs 2.2 million. That's a big budget, and he can do so much with that. He can make this thing a Chad of the seas. So let's get into it, and let's start with his guns. My favorite. So before I get into Tetris of the turret, I want to talk general things about the turrets that I think are wrong and can be improved upon. You can see here, I've sliced it open like an onion a little bit, just peeled some layers away, just so you can kind of see, or so I could kind of see what the internals look like without pressing Shift P or whatever the button is. So we can see here, this is a triple barrel. I think it's how big is it? 8-meter rail gun. So this is a hefty boy. This is shooting big things at pretty decent speeds. So already we have a 500mm shell shooting at, where's your velocity? Why can I not see it? Oh, 1091. It's pretty beefy. So it's hybrid because it's not getting all of it from rail. It's drawing 26,000 rail charge, which is quite a bit. It doesn't have a high RPM. It seems to be going for more of a typical battleship, just slugging shells every couple of seconds setup. Is it staggered? Okay, these are staggered, it seems. So it does have that going for it, which I think is not the greatest idea. If you're trying to pitch shells at something with good lambs, then staggering your shells just makes it easier for the lambs to shoot it down. So I think if you're going to go with multi-barrel, you should just throw everything at once. I know it's less cool, but in my testing, it's been way more effective. And also general things we'll look at as we get into it. This thing is shooting, where is it? Thing is shooting AP frag HE. I would pick one or the other. You have so much frag, I don't see a point for this HE. Even it's where is your HE damage? Your HE is only doing 2600 damage, so that's I don't know if that's even enough to do full damage to metal, because HE needs to do more damage then the block has health to actually do damage to it. So I would just take this away and just make this full frag like this. Solid, I don't think the solid's getting you anything other than just more kinetic, but you can just add more rail if you need more kinetic. I'll do testing of this gun. I'll see how much metal it goes through, because I don't feel like calculating the number. And you have a railgun casing, which I kind of disapprove of. I don't think you need railgun casings. You see, your maximum rail draw here is already more than you have, so this should just be gunpowder. Because then you just have a better shell already. And what else? Yeah, this shell could probably be better. Like, you probably don't need as big a shell. You probably should go for either like more rail or less hybrid. We're going to test that out. For now, we're just evaluating the gun itself. The gun is pretty pricey per firepower, almost 700. The Ragnarok quad barrels, the ones that cost similar to this, I think it's the AP frag guns, the gunpowder ones. I think those are chilling at like 500 mat per firepower, which is pretty decent. So these are pretty expensive for what you're getting. It's 43,000 per, and you got 3 barrels. Oh, 40,000 here, and then 41. Okay, these are also asymmetrical, which I don't like, but I'll talk about that more in a second. Anyway, volume per firepower is like, it's okay. It's not great. I like to shoot for really cramped and efficient guns, and these guns aren't very cramped and efficient. They're just kind of inefficient in general. So there's stuff that could be done here, and let's make sure. Okay, you did set that. I think it should be lower, but I've never known how low it should be. But like, pretty okay setup itself. It has its own rangefinder, which is cool. Helps the gun, or helps your detection out. And while I'm talking general things, the one thing I don't like here, Joey, is I think your turret caps don't fit with your ship. Look at how sleek and smooth your ship is, how it just flows into itself at every other like turn and angle, and these are just bulk and kind of gross looking. I think you should just redesign these to make them look better. I don't know what they should look like, but these could be way better, and it could flow with your gun better. Like, I like your little circle caps here on your secondaries. These are good, but your main turrets are kind of ugly, my guy. I would kind of just take inspiration from like your superstructure and how it is very angular and flowing, and then just inspire that into like, you know, maybe it goes out that way, something like that for your turret. Make them sharper, not blunt. They're very blunt. Also, other general thing, this armor sucks, my guy. This armor is terrible. You have 2 layers of metal at some places, but 1 layer at most, which is bad. Since this is a battleship, you can afford to put heavy armor on your turrets. Like, you can afford to make this have a ring of like 2-meter heavy armor, so that you get, you know, heavy armor stacking with like a metal wedge behind it, or a metal pole if you are like me and you want to be a little off meta in the name of turret spinning around. So I think you should ditch this armor, redo it. I'll give you an example once we rebuild your turret. Or I'm going to rebuild how I think it would work, not like how it should be. Turret armor, bad. Redo it, please. Don't do this. Just make it one big circle so everything fits in correctly. All this extra bits here just are like taking away space in your turret well. What else? I had something more for you here before I move on. Oh, yeah, I remember what it is. You need ejectors. Ejectors are not a question that no is an answer to, unless you're making pure kinetic, pure rail. You can't have something this big with this explosive of shells using gunpowder and not have ejectors. You simply cannot do it. It will not fly. This is the reason your turrets get blown off, like you said. When it comes to guns this big, ejectors are non-negotiable. Plus, like, I'm pretty sure you have a crap ton of room to work with these turrets. You have so much room to do more with them. And also, some of your turrets, this is like just an individual thing. Some of your turrets, if I can find the one that is, some of your turrets are sitting on top of things. I know why you did it. It's so they can sit higher in your ship, right? But doing this, like blowing up your turret if I don't hit it directly, which is gonna blow up. But like, I can just kind of chop your turret off from the bottom here, and suddenly I've decapitated one of your guns or one of your ship's guns that easily. God, that is laggy. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would just build your structure up around it instead. Just, you know, don't leave it on this little block here. Because also, if you get hit, say a submarine is shooting super cav at you and it goes ping, ping, you only have 1 meter there. So, not good. I would readjust how you're armoring your turrets. Okay, your ship is lagging me, buddy. It's got to get pulled. Okay, so if we talk general, I'm gonna build a turret according to like these specifications, as well as how much space he has in the ship, and I'm just gonna build it and show off what I think this thing could actually do, just to give you an idea. Oh, also before I build a turret, I will say I do not like triple barrel Tetris. I forgot to mention it. I think it's bad. Because as you can see, if I take a peep inside this thing, his Tetris is not only non-symmetrical, which makes your guns a little wonky, but it's really cramped and has kind of just overall not good Tetris. I think since From the Depths is a block game, and blocks only have horizontally, okay, give me the fucking thing. So we only have 4 sides to work with. Obviously, we don't have 3 sides, so making triangles is pretty hard, but cubes are easy. I think this should be, and I think this is generally what I do, and I think it's just a good idea. I think you should be in multiples of 2, right? So you should either have like a single barrel, double barrel, or quadruple barrel for your Tetris. Just because it's easier, it makes your Tetris more efficient, and it's less of a hassle than trying to cram in 3 barrels into some weird space. So I'm going to make this 2-barrel, Joey. You can not do it 2-barrel if you want when you remake it or when you redo it, whatever. I'm just going to do it 2-barrel because that's what I think is best, or is better than 3-barrel. Okay, on to it. So here we go. This is just a sample of something Joey could easily do. And Joey, if you want this gun, if you like it, I'll have it for you. Just let me know and I'll send it to you. So this uses the exact same shell-ish. I've obviously changed it to be pure AP frag. It's a SAE frag round, SAP frag. It goes through 9 meters of metal pretty easily and then explodes and detonates its frag. The new gun has 97 firepower per barrel, which totals to like, you know, 194 firepower total. Whereas this is somewhere in the range of 160 times 60 times 3. Somewhere in the range of like a little under 180, so probably like the 170. I'm not going to do the exact math. This gun costs like 120-ish. They're all about 40 per barrel. 40 per. Whereas this total is 130, which is pretty decent. This thing is more efficient in cost. It's 679 mats per firepower, whereas the big one, where's the big one? The big one is 690. We have a little more volume efficiency. This is 11 volume per firepower, whereas these are 10. So this is just eking out all the power that Joey can realistically get. You know, this is like the top tier of what he can do with the space that he's given in the 15x15 and with AP frag. So I've designed this to, of course, be 8 meters, which, you know, may not be optimal, but it's what he did, so it's what I did. 8 meter AP frag railgun. This is what I would do. Double barrel, just, you know, Tetris is just, you build it out on one side, you flip it around, and you paste it on the other. Joey, seriously, if you want this, I'm here for you. I got you. So yeah, step 1, I would do, and also these are ejectors, so compare that to his, which goes boom immediately. The only boom here is wherever it's localized at. Oh god, I need to turn off damage debugging. Clear all. So yeah, better gun, safer gun, slightly more powerful gun. And I think you're limited here by your shell power. In all honesty, the max shell power you can eke out of this is like 280-ish. I think if you just change around and work with different shells, like change out your length, maybe you could get something better. Maybe you get more firepower, kind of like I have in the Sabo gun on the Ragnarok. Things like that. I think there's room to go up with these turrets, but I think this is a good update to what you have already. And then, what you should do, and I didn't do because it would take too long, is take, instead of doing this, for your armor, grab some heavy, or rather, let's just show you an idea of what you could do. Since he has so much space, he can afford this. Do something like some sort of air gap filler. Beam slopes are best, but they may not always work. You may have to do them sideways like this. Beam slopes, and then double heavy is a good bet, like this. This way your turret is pretty chunky, and only do double heavy on the front. Do not do double heavy on the back. It will never be pointed towards your enemy unless you have multiple enemies. So like you do double heavy here, and then like one layer of flip correctly, please. Then like one layer of metal back here. Don't do this. Just make a circle. Your turrets are circle shaped, so use that to your advantage. And yeah, if you implement this into your gun, then you'll just have a cleaner, more efficient turret that works way better. And you could even make this bigger. You have so much space in here in your turret wells. Let's take a look, actually. So here's one of his turret wells. And there's like, let's see, how many meters of unused space? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 meters of unused space here in your turret well. Like, this isn't even armor. This is just space you could use. You also have so much vertical space in most of these wells where you could just be, making your turrets have more firepower by adding more auto layers. Make them 6 meters instead of 8 meters, and you can cram in more. This even holds true here. In this one, this well is like more shallow because the superstructure is lower. So you have more space here. Although I wouldn't build your turret above your hull line because that's where your armor is. And this one is built above your hull line. I would just sink this deeper, like way down here. And then just have a little neck that protrudes up into the turret cap. But yeah, your ideas are good. You just need to execute them a little better. And I think this is a better execution, and this is something you should go for. This armor style and this kind of gun. Okay, next, speaking of armor, I need to look at his armor. And I'm not an authority here, but I'm going to give you some general advice, Joey. Quick side note, if you're enjoying this video, I'd like to ask that you like and subscribe as always. Comment anything you're thinking. I'm always enjoying hearing your opinions. And if you want to be a part of this series, in the video or on the stream, whichever one happens to you, because I never know. I pick these at random, kind of. If you want to be a part of this, join my Discord. I'll have announcements when I'm taking submissions, and when I am, you're going to see a channel called Subscriber Craft Submissions in there. So whenever you see that channel is active, send anything you want to send. Chances are I'm going to look at it, I'm going to review it, I may make a video about it, or I may just leave it to the streams. You never know. But if you seriously want me to do this for you, just pop in there, see if I'm taking submissions, and send one in. Alright, let's get on to armor. As always, I will preface this with I am not an armor expert. I don't know every single optimal schema. I don't know what the best thing is for Joey here. But I know some good basic tips and what to do, what not to do, etc. So I'll start off. Joey, you've spammed heavy armor. Specifically, you've spammed beam slopes, which is a good choice. It's the right choice. But you've kind of done it in a weird way. So first things first, here we are, we're at the hull where the turrets are. So logically, this is a less armored area than your citadel. But you've left a lot of space that's used for nothing. In fact, this is from longest point to longest point, I think it's like 12 meters of space. Like from here to the from like here to the interior wall. It's like 12 meters or something like that. It's a ridiculous amount. unless you are really, really, really scared of area damage like Hollow Point and HE, you don't need this much space. Yes, it will cost more to fill this space up with, say, like alloy spam like I do, or you could do checkerboard, wood, and metal if you're feeling cheap. Of course, some people say checkerboard's bad, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. It's cheap. If you fill this up with that, then you're going to have way more effective armor. You're going to be able to tank more shells, plain and simple. Because your armor scheme here is just thin. Like, this is your internal armor, and it's 1 meter, and then, bam, there's your turret. So, if I hit you with, you know, a Giga Sabo, I'm going straight through, and I'm finding your turret pretty fast. Whereas if you have a lot of alloy in here, for example, like I did on the Ragnarok, then that's just a lot of meat that you have to go through. Which, that's the way I like to design my armors. I like to make them a little thicker than most people do. But yeah, the beam slopes here are actually a great choice. This is what you should be using. But you don't need Era, which is an air gap, and then beam slopes, which are an air gap. It's kind of purposeless. I think you really only need like 1 or 2 air gaps in your armor. So say I have an armor schema that looks like this. You know, we're just saying I really only want like 1 beam slope there. Because I'm just trying to stop HE at the very end from getting to me. I don't really care about anything else. Because you're also not really stopping pen depth rounds with this Era. You have 1 layer, it's going to get blown out immediately by anything good. Speaking of Era, Era is often not worth it. I don't think you should use it. I think Era is just it's one trick pony. It stops a pen depth shell and it stops it once, and then it's never useful again. Especially the way you have it set up here, where Era is flat. If anything manages to explode in your Era compartment, well, this crap has no health, and goodbye most of your Era. It's also very laggy since you're putting 1 blocks in, like 1 by 1 blocks everywhere, and you have them everywhere. So I would suggest you use less Era and you use more real structural blocks for your armor. And we don't have to make this thing like a Giga Behemoth, like we'll talk about this Citadel later. Like, you don't have to have metal up to here, like this point, but you should just have more, because like even your Citadel only has like, you have a heavy armor beam slope, Era, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 meters thick on your Citadel. That is 5 meters of blocks is literally nothing. If I want to AI dead you, I'm assuming your AI is somewhere close. Let's see, where's your AI hidden at? Okay. I'll use your ammo rack as an example. If I want to ammo rack you, there is not very much stopping me here. This is a metal box, which is bad. We'll talk about that later. You have nothing but wood here, and just empty. Empty, empty, empty. If I send a pen depth shell here, perchance, you're ammo racked. Completely. And that's just a massive hole in your ship. So, I think you need to thicken your armor up. I don't have any schemas to suggest for you, because it kind of depends, like, where do you want to prioritize your armor? Do you want really thick armor in your Citadel and really thin armor in your turret areas and just have your turrets themselves be thickly armored? Do you want to armor the whole thing and make it cost even more and make it really heavy? Those are all choices you have to make. I just recommend that you test things out. I would say you start with this area here around the turrets. You kind of get an idea of how thick you want it to be. I'd say probably like 8 meters is probably sufficient. Really, you don't need that thick of armor. Like, the Ragnarok's armor is only thick as hell because, well, it was already thick as hell. So just like widen this out, get rid of the Era. Do something probably like I'll just spitball an idea here. I'm not gonna leave this here, but smack your Era away. Okay. So let's say I'm gonna use alloy because it's floaty and I want it to float. Oh god. You also ooh, things are not symmetrical in here, my guy. You should fix that as well. Your hull is all over the place. Okay. Then like alloy, 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 alloy. So this is how many meters? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's go to 8 meters. And then bam, just like that. And that's already a way more effective armor scheme. And then you can still have a big stupid air gap. But if you're gonna have this internal armor, also make this thicker as well, because you know it's free. You're not using the space for anything, so why not make it more effective armor? So I think you should take your armor back to the drawing board completely. You should revamp all of it completely. Your current armor is just simply too thin. I even show that how thin it is. I'm just gonna hit you with like a Giga HE. I'm gonna blast your armor out. Stop repairing, Rambot. So like if you get hit with a 34k like shell, which is unrealistic, but it can happen. Like a cram could just smack you here. Oh, you have repair bots. Oh, we'll talk about that later. I'd hit you with 2 of those shells, you're dead. Game over. I've already found your turret, and well, we know what happens with those. Oh god. Oh no. So that's why you said you were getting your turrets blown off. That's why. Your turrets are, as I solved earlier, they have no ejectors, and your armor's really, really thin for something this size. Okay, I have to redo this ship because it's lagging me out. So I suggest, if you remember, I did armor testing for the Ragnarok, and oh my goodness, this lag. Your ship's also really laggy when it gets blown up. So I did like armor testing where I just put a big F-off gun in front of some armor schemas. I tested them out, I got the numbers, and I saw what's best. I'd recommend that you kind of go back, you watch that, and you take that process and you just do it yourself. And it's super simple. Just try out new ideas, ask in the Discord for ideas too, because you have enough space to make this thing a monster in terms of armor. Just be careful and don't overspend because your ship is pretty big. It's almost 400. Okay, what should we talk about next? So I want to start talking about systems now. And the first system that I kind of have an issue with is your AI. This is just one of your AIs. I know you have more, which is good. Redundancy is great, and you should always do redundancy. But here's your main one, right? Center. I don't like how you've laid this out. First of all, this is, I'm pretty sure, above the waterline. Yeah, this is above the waterline, which is bad. Water is basically armor. Always leave your most critical components below the waterline when possible. So it's above the waterline. It's connected by these thin metal beams, and well, I'll just show what could happen if somebody hits you with HE. Boom. Boom. No more AI. Your AI dead just like that, off 2 shots. So don't suspend your AI in the air like this. Oh my goodness. Laggy, laggy, laggy. Okay, we're gonna have to redo her. We're lagging. So don't suspend your AI in the air like that. You have so much space in your citadel, just put it closer to the dirt. Oh, I hope the game didn't just crash. That would suck. Okay, the game did not crash. Put your AI way further down, and instead of just wrapping it in stone, because stone's okay, but rubber is actually a better... Dude, give me the boat. So, in terms of EMP susceptibility, stone is 15% plus 30 over a meter, but rubber is 30% plus 60 over a meter. So I would wrap your AI in rubber if you're gonna wrap it in something. It's just better at EMP reduction. Wrap it in rubber, and if you want to coat it in armor, you can coat it in like heavy. Some people will say wrap the AI in heavy and then wrap the heavy in rubber. I don't know which is better, just figure it out yourself. And if you put surge protectors on like the outside of the rubber, like you're guaranteed to never get EMP deaded. So like rubber, not stone. And let's see, I'll find you a good spot. So instead of here with the AI, what's in here? You have missiles in here. These are missiles and repair bots. Okay. How about we take these torpedoes, we move them over here where there's nothing, right? There's literally nothing here. but in APS. So much space for them. Move them there, and put your AI in this big box, wrapped in rubber. If you do that, that'll be way better. I think, and let's see if I can find your other AIs. They're very hidden, because they're very small. Let's see. So this is just GPP. Okay, here's your other AI, I believe. What the heck is this? Missile radar buoy holder. Interesting. Oh, this is more GPP. This is not an AI. Dude, you you keep throwing me for a loop here. Here we go. Here it is. Here's your backup. If you're gonna put your backups all around the ship, just wrap them in rubber the same and armor them in something. Don't just leave them here, because like you don't have any armor here. This thing's gonna get blasted out, and then it's not a good backup if it's dead. So yeah, just use rubber. I'd wrap your AI in heavy and just sink it below the waterline, and you'll be set there. Also, since I'm thinking about missiles, because I just saw these torpedoes, this isn't something you have to do, but something I prefer. If you're gonna use VLS, please put it in your hull, because missiles are very expensive. Like, let's see, how much does this missile system cost? This missile system costs 48 grand, and that's per one, right? This has no armor to it. If this gets popped by HE, you're suddenly out of 48k of materials, just like that. Same with this VLS over here. I know these are smalls, so they're a little less expensive, but still. If you're going to put missiles and you have so much room, like let's say you want the same VLS system. Well, let's see. You have this deck space right here, which has basically nothing under it. Or like right here. Nothing. You could put your missiles in here and armor them. And just save them from getting shot immediately. Because missiles are expensive and they're weapon systems. You have how much? You have 400 firepower missiles. That's quite a bit. So those aren't like your main critical weapons, but they matter, so we don't want them getting shot. That's just what I would recommend. Just sink those lower too. A lot of your problems can be solved by just getting all your critical systems out of your superstructure. You really don't want anything of value in your superstructure, and you have quite a bit of value in your superstructure. Okay. I think I want to look at your engines. Oh, while I'm on the missile tangent, just one more. See these? These are interceptors. Your interceptors don't need this much crap on it. It doesn't do anything. If you want to make torpedo interceptors, you do this. Torpedo propeller, fin, APN guidance, missile interceptor. And that's a complete interceptor. You're wasting modules and materials doing this. Interceptor should only be 4 modules. Unless you want to make a dual torpedo / air missile interceptor, in which case you can have 6, because you need a secondary torpedo propeller, which is this guy. Where is that guy? I don't know, it's somewhere. But you can do that too, but for most purposes, you really only need 4 modules. Okay, let's talk engines. First good thing about your engines, you have a lot of them. You are very, very redundant. Like, I see 2 here, 1 there, like a million here. There's freaking 8 of them right there. And then I'm pretty sure you have 1 more back here. So you have, like, way a lot of engines, which is good. That's fine. If that's how you want to set your ship up, is just you spread it out with fuel engines, props to you. So that's actually a good thing about your ship. I like the redundancy. I'm not a fan of fuel personally, but you do what you want to do. I will say these are probably not the best. These are pretty inefficient, like 400 ppm and not that good PPV either. They're just kind of bad all around. Like, they don't really do anything good. This one's okay, but it's not in its ideal range, which is what your max RPM is. I can't give you advice on how to make them better because I don't know fuel, but I can say you should probably consider making them better. Or just use steam and just have like multiple big steam engines everywhere, because that'll get you there just the same. But yeah, your engines are very both ppm inefficient and both volume inefficient. This is actually okay. It's 40. What's this one get up to? 52. That one's okay actually. But the biggest sin I see with your engines is here. You cannot do this. Why can't you do this? Okay, well, let's blow up this pipe. Pop. Now, suddenly, your engines are overheated. Almost completely. And when your engines overheat, you have no power. So this is really bad. These huge exhaust tunnels leading everywhere, like these engines, instead of exiting them up in that way, you could just tunnel down. And that would be way, way better. Because if you just tunnel this exhaust down, like, I'll show you, like this, and I'll just dig some more holes in your boat. You just do that, and I'll just put a hole pipe here so I don't lose your buoyancy. And that is like way, way, way better. Way better. Dude, your ship is so massive, it's like getting at my computer. Stop. Okay. But yeah, please don't do that with your exhaust pipes. It's very not good. Because with fuel engines, the most important thing is them not overheating. And if it's really stupid easy to make your fuel engines overheat by just popping an HE shell into your citadel, because you know your armor's pretty thin, you're going to lose power really fast. So I would advise that you just simply don't do that. If you're going to use fuel and you're going to externally vent them, vent it down. It's the easiest place to do it, and your engines are probably pretty close to the floor anyway. But yeah, keep the redundancy. I like it. Big fan. Also, these are wide open. There's like no armor here, like in your internals. I'm sure you can eke out more. You just like look up some fuel engine tutorials, get better at it. Something I'm not willing to do because I like Steam so much. But yeah, you can make these better. I believe it. But keep the redundancy. With a ship this size, having multiple systems do your work is a really, really good choice, and props to you. And thinking of power, you have these. You have these externally mounted props, right? And these are largest. You could have very, very easily just make these in the Azipods and just make your ship faster. Let's see how fast your ship is, out of curiosity. Okay, your ship is pretty slow thus far. She's a chonky boy. And I'm willing to bet this thing does not turn on a dime. It sure does not. So your ship is really uber slow. It's probably because you don't have enough thrust. So instead of doing this, these externally mounted engines, why don't we, and I'll see if I have a prefab for it. Where are my Azipods? Ah, well, I don't have Azipods saved for some. Oh, no, they're sub-objects, that's right. Is this a full Azipod? No, it is not. 1 second. Azipod? Hello? There it is. Here's my Azipods. So let's say, instead of doing that, you do one of these. Oh, I guess that's going to be really low. I'm just going to remove these for now and just show you what you could do. Where's your center mass? There. And let's just pop that there. And Alt-N, because I want symmetry. And pop that there. Obviously, this isn't the way you should do it, but like I'm just kind of roughly doing it. So already, the ship is faster, which is good. And this is only 3 Azipods. You could probably fit like 4 in this thing if you really want to. I'm willing to bet you actually probably have room for internal Azipods, which are really fun. Oh, you have so much room for internal Azipods. And now, this thing turns on slightly more of a It's not quite a dime, but it's at least like a US half dollar it turns on, which is progress. You know, it kind of turned on, a gold bar previously, which isn't very impressive. You could also afford rudders here very easily. Let's see. Do you have rudders? No, you don't. I don't know what the purpose of this junk is, but I'd get rid of it. This is just extra drag for no reason. Like all this stuff. I don't know what you're doing here. I would make your underside cleaner if you can. But I'm willing to bet that I could. Where is my water control? You could pop a big ol'... You have room for big old rudders like this, just anywhere you want. Obviously, this isn't like the final position, but this is just an idea. And then you can turn on even big or even smaller radii. So I would do that. I'd add definitely add some rudders along with azipods instead of using what you were previously using. And since I'm thinking of internal azipods, I'll just show you how to do that. So you have all this space, right? Let me pull up one of my craft. Don't take off. Okay, here's the Paladin. This is a submarine that I built for stream. I think it looks pretty good. It's very cool. Anyway, this is not the point. The Paladin uses internal azipods. It has these 5-meter azipods, which are inside the ship, or sub, rather. And they're just mounted here, and they're essentially spin block clipping. These don't suffer any penalties of like clearance or like running into the wall, because they're only like 15-degree turning radius. And I just have this like external vent just in case it matters. But these are internal, and I'll show off how the Paladin works. I'll just take her for a test flight. So you see, I yaw, and it goes, I yaw, and it goes, right? Turn them on. And yes, we have rudders, but we're also turning very hard because we have azipods. This is something you can afford to do on your ship. You have so much space, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't do it. In fact, I think internal azipods are way better than external. I think if you got the space and you're willing to cheese a little bit, you should do it. Okay, we covered engines, we've covered guns, we've covered armor. There's a lot more I can talk about. And I'm just going to give you like the last negative thing before I start going on some positives about what I like about your ship. The last main negative I want you to think about, not lamps, but your lamps could probably add a little more power. You only have 30k and you have a big beefy ship, which, you have the space for it. So you could probably pump up your lamps, make it more efficient. Let's see. Let's actually look at your lamps before I go on the thing I actually want to talk about. Okay, I can't see crap. Show me the lambs. Silence of them as well. So, you seem to be building a general purpose lambs here, so I would go with you don't need these destabilizers unless you really want them. I'd go with the ratio of 1 cavity to every, or 1 storage to every 3 pump. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, which is not so I would go with whatever, 21. See how many you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Excuse me, 25. So you're kind of over pumping these lasers. You probably don't need that much, especially if you get rid of your destabilizers here. So you could probably just like make these a little shorter. Use a 3 to 1 ratio, which I don't know if that's the best. I was told by Vard, bless his soul. That's what he thinks is best for lambs, or general purpose lambs, so I would do that. Also, EMP proof this. Put this in your EMP box with your AI, because you don't want your lamps to get EMP'd. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, negative. You have a lot of empty space here, my guy. Your ship isn't very walkable, but you're not using all your volume very well. Like, your ship is massive. It's massive. But you're not using its mass very effectively. So like here, so this is like what, a turret well, right? You just have this room in your citadel where you're not doing anything. You could say congregate more things here that are important, like, you know, your AIs or your ammo, or whatever you want, or more engines, whatever, more weapons. Doesn't matter. You only have like you have 1600 firepower, which is pretty decent, but you can eke out more. So I think you should definitely not. Ooh, you don't. This armor's so thin. I think you can fit more stuff in here. And I think you should, and you should make your Citadel armor very thick. As well as, you could do some, if you're gonna have empty space like this, and you're gonna have important bits here, you can do some real fun cheese. So, front-siders use this tactic, but you can also do it on a broadsider with enough space. These 4-meter wedges are like phenomenal kinetic armor. And if you use a crap ton of this, like this, you're going to take so little damage from like sabos and anything that uses kinetics. So you have all this space, you could be cheesing with all this space with your armor. And just like, you know, having more layers of stuff, of armor. Instead of just having big open air. You know, maybe you want big open air, but I think it's worth it. I also don't know what you're doing with the wood here. I have no clue. I don't know if you're going for buoyancy or if you're going for like spall lining, but you don't really need to worry about spall liners because most people don't really use Hesh. And if you have good enough armor, then like who cares? Like if you have good, big, thick armor, which has, you know, sufficient air gaps at the end and has strong air gap armor, then you don't have to worry about Hesh that much. I don't know what you're doing here. I mean, wood's okay if you're like trying to health spam, but you're not really trying to health spam, you just have it everywhere. I can assume you're using it for buoyancy, but then why aren't you pumping air in here? You know, a lot of questions. So I think you're just wasting a lot of space with this ship. Like, you're wasting space in armor, you're wasting space, like, dude, your turrets could be massive. Like, you don't... I limited myself to 15 by 15 when I made your new turret, but you could have a turret that's like, oh my god. Let's see. So this is a 17 by 17, but you can really make it into a 19 by 19. Dude, you could conceivably have like almost a 20 by 20 turret and just have giga guns on this boat. Because you have the space. Your turret well is huge, and all you have in here besides the turret is GPP. I can assume that you're using remote guided missile somewhere. But you're not really using this for anything. Like, this wood here, what is it doing? Just, you know, acting as filler for your turret? Well, why not have more turret? Plain and simple. You have so much space for more turret. So, that's what I would do. I think you should use that for more turrets. Poles, don't use poles. Poles are only good in, like, certain select scenarios. Use beam slopes. Let's see. Anything I may have missed? Ammo storage and stone, bad. Use heavy armor. Ammo storage is super important. And also, you actually did. I will give you props in this when I get to it. And yeah. That's all I want to talk about, negatives. I'm not going to talk about your secondaries or CWIS because I kind of trust you to figure that out. It's just a solved question most of the time. I want to talk about what I really like about your ship as I close this out. I think your ship is gorgeous. Your ship has, like, my favorite kind of styling. If you fix these turret caps, this thing will be a beaut. This is also not the right colors that it shipped with. I had to change my fleet colors to this because with my, like, blue and black fleet colors, this thing looks like dookie water. But anyway, I think this thing is a looker. You have a very nicely shaped hull, which I believe uses slopes. You could probably make this sleeker and less drag if you use offsets instead. Like, you do this with your offsets instead. That would give you a little less drag and it'll look a little sleeker. You would just lose some space. You could also do the same here. Instead of using like these, you could just, you know, make this a little smoother. But besides that, like this part of the hull, I really like. It's calling my name with the slopes. I'm a big fan of slopes. You could also put some slopes on top here, since you're just kind of blocking it off. This would just give you a little more sloped armor, which would be nice. Also, quick tip, do that. But yeah, let's say, let's just add an example of what I would change about your hull. Like this. Like you do one of these guys, you do that the whole way, you just add some more sloped armor to it essentially. It's not really doing anything, it just looks cool. And it may reduce like one kinetic shell worth of damage. That's just an easy thing to do. Your superstructure, I adore. I think it looks pretty good for what you got here. I like the layers, how it just builds up and flows into the bridge. And actually, I want to show off your bridge. So I don't like that your bridge is internal, personally. I like bridges that have windows, because I like windows. But your bridge is cute. It is very cool looking. You have this like this like radar map instead of glass. You use the fire control computer as like, you know, the it's like a control computer. I don't know. You have this really cool like just areas to walk deeper into the ship. You have like a war room. I really like having war rooms. I think they're so cool. And then like you just kind of see into the guts, which doesn't look as pretty. Like you have good ideas that you're executing here, and I really like them. And then you get in the ship and you're just like, oh my god, what did you do, buddy? You have this space. Honestly, if you're not gonna armor it, just make it walkable and make it look better in here. Cause like you had the right ideas with your bridge. You just kind of gave up on it. So yeah, I really like your aesthetics. I think they're a good start, and I think you can definitely do a little better. But I like where you're going with this. And my other thing I think is really good about your ship is your redundancy. Dude, you have redundant systems literally everywhere. You have engines, you have ammo, you have LAMs, you have GPP. You have more LAMS nodes, you have missiles, like several different torpedo setups, more engines, more everything. Materials everywhere, fuel everywhere, ammo everywhere. Like that is good. You have executed that very well. Props to you. Of course, now that you have these redundant systems, I want you to armor them. So, I'll give you a quick summary of what I think you need to work on. Fix your guns. I showed you how. If you want the gun, just let me know, I'll give it to you. Your guns need work. Your turret armor needs work. Your actual armor needs a lot of work. You may have to go back to the drawing boards on that one. Your propulsion, I think you should use azipods or internal azipods. Your fuel engines could be a little better. Your AI could be a little more guarded. It's a little susceptible. Let's see if you actually did something I've been thinking about lately. Give me your AI. Not in the keyboard, that's why. So you have your target prio card, right? I think you have the setup a little interesting. Yeah, I think this is probably like default setup. Fun trick you can do with your target prio cards. Set everything to 0. Right? Set all to 0. Value per APS, 1,000,000. Value per cram, 1,000,000. Value per laser, 1,000,000. Value per pack, 1,000,000. Value per firepower, 1,000,000. What happens when you do this? I'm pretty sure, this is what I've been told. I've only verified it a few times and, you know, mixed results. This will cause your AI to aim at the enemy turrets over anything. In case you're scared of it not aiming at, you know, the ship itself, you can just change your value per block. Or whatever. But if you keep it all 0 and you just max these out, you know, these are most likely to be turrets. I'm pretty sure this will just be a turret sniper. And if you snipe off the turrets on an enemy ship, you're gonna win. Anyway, so yeah. AI, make it lower, wrap it in rubber, wrap it in heavy armor, wrap all your critical systems in some sort of armor, wrap your ammo in heavy, and wrap your engines in something. And wrap your LAMs in something. And then, yeah, just keep working on this thing. You said it's been a project over the years, and I can tell, dude. Like, this is definitely something that I look at, I'm like, oh, somebody's really been working on this, but I can tell you've been working on it. I think you should just gut it and just get back to the start of it. Gut it out, clear it out, redo it, because this thing's got potential to be something gnarly. Also, don't use spam repair bots. They're bad. They're worthless. Don't do it. Okay. That's about all I got for you. I like your ship. It's got good potential. It still needs work. I could talk about more, but this video would never end. I'm probably already at like 50 minutes or something like that. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Please comment. Please let me know. Please tell me what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. If you like me, if you don't like me, I don't care. Just tell me anyway. I like to hear it all. Go to my Discord. I'll probably start submissions up probably next Monday. I'll open up the submissions and you can start sending me these craft again. And then, if you watch all this way, 6 p.m. EST tonight, Saturday. I believe that's like, what is it? December the something. December the 10th. I'm going to be reviewing every other craft. So if you submitted something and you're like one of the like 30 or 40 people who did, tune in. Because I'm going to be looking at your stuff. And I'm going to be roasting it like I roasted Joey's work here. Maybe not to this extent, but I'm going to get at it. I'll see y'all then.